All right, so we have our clay wedge from last week. We're going to take some off and we're going to create a ball that's about the size of, I'd say a little bit larger than a baseball. Okay? And in order to get that into a perfect ball form, we can kind of tap it with our hand. We can roll it on the mat. We can roll it between our hands. Whatever works for you to get it into a perfectly round ball. My ball is nice and round. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth. We'll work on that later. You need to take your clay knife. Looks like this. We're going to go over tools tomorrow. And we're going to split this ball in half because we need it to be hollow. So I'm going to take my clay knife and I'm going to draw a line the whole way around with my clay knife. Not going all the way through or anything, just putting a line on for reference. Okay? As you can see, I'm about halfway through. Then taking my knife, I'm going to insert all the way through so that I'm going to create two halves. Okay. And you can see how I manipulated it a little bit there. That's not a big deal. When we put it back together, we'll make sure that it stays perfectly round again. Okay. All right, so I have two halves. Now I need to hollow out the inside of my halves because you cannot fire a piece of clay in the kiln that is this thick. It will just explode. So you're going to find this tool at your table. It's called a loop tool. It has maybe two different ends. And this tool is used for carving or scooping. So we're going to go ahead and scoop the inside out of our clay, leaving about a 1/4 inch on the edges and a 1/4 inch at the bottom. Okay? You don't want it to be too thin that you break a hole through it, but you also don't want it to be too thick because you want air to be able to pass through when it's in the kiln. Okay? You can also scoop with your fingers if you want, but I like to use the loop tool to really get the inside out. And you're going to go ahead and do that with both pieces of clay. Our next step is we're going to need to put these two pieces together. So you should access the slit that's in this little container at your table. Also, you have a tool that looks like this. It's called a serrated rib. It has little ridges on the outside. It's used for scoring your clay. You might remember this from middle school. You have to scratch and slip pieces when you join. So I'm just taking that edge and running it along to roughen up my edges. I'm going to take my slip and I'm going to apply it to those edges. Okay, you can be generous with that slip, and then you're going to go ahead and put your pieces back together. Just kind of gently pushing. Okay. And then with your finger, you can go ahead and cover that seam. In the next video, you'll see how to reinforce that seam with a coil so that you don't have cracking or a thin spot in that area. Okay. But right now, after you go back with your finger over that seam, and it's okay if it kind of keeps coming back a little bit, you can keep seeing it. The next video will take care of that problem. Okay. And you can see I have like a flat edge there. I might want to just kind of start taking my hands and reshaping it into a ball. Okay. So this is step 1. Step 2 is in the next video where it'll show you how to roll a coil, scratch and slip it on, blend it in, and then you'll have a perfectly hollow sphere for the next part of our project.